everyone, and welcome back for episode 50 of the Simply Whelmed Podcast. I'm your host, Colin, and I'm joined by my co-host, Chris.
How we doing, everybody?
We're just a couple of best friends who are passionate about all things pop culture. If you're looking for lukewarm takes on movies, video games, TV shows, or even an occasional comic, then we have the show for you.
That's fucking right.
And this week, we were planning on talking about A Knock at the Cabin, but...
Young Thug, that's
me.
me.
Been a little under the weather.
Under the weather.
Yeah. So we thought we'd call an audible with that in mind and kind of have a nice... It'd be nice to take a look at some of our like favorite movies to watch when we're not feeling the hottest. You know?
No.
Some comfort movies. So before we talk about our comfort movies, we have to talk about Zelda Tears of the Kingdom being a big boy. Is large.
And in charge.
That's a big boy. Disney has announced several sequels. There's a new live-action Spider-Man show in the works.
Oh, fuck.
Vin Diesel is returning for a fourth Riddick film. And we got trailers for Fast X, Guardians 3, The Flash, and more. So if you're ready, we'll just jump right in.
Let's fucking hop in.
Let us yump.
Let's see.
Yump. The Legend of Zelda Tears of the Kingdom was shown off at the recent Nintendo Direct with a few interesting details revealed. The price point will come in at $70.
That's highway robbery.
Yeah, horse shit. Which seems to be the new standard, honestly.
Yeah.
For like new gen consoles, I feel.
Sit like right around like $59, $69.
But it just seems a little off to me because this is not a new gen game. You know what I mean?
It's for the Switch.
But if you use like inflation and stuff as the excuse, then potentially. But also, another Nintendo game that's coming out this year is Pikmin 4.
Yeah.
And it's got a $60 price point. So maybe they're just kind of playing it by ear.
Sure.
You know, and going, well, it's a case-by-case basis, which is very possible. So the other major, I thought more notable detail was the fact that Tears of the Kingdom will be over 18 gigabytes.
Holy smokes.
Which isn't large in like the grand scheme of things.
But for
a
the
Switch game, that's a
huge.
Large game.
That's fucking huge.
That is a large game. So Breath of the Wild was nearly 4 gigabytes smaller at 14.4 gig. So the large file size would seem to translate to a larger game in general. But we'll just kind of see if size is any indication of enjoyment, you know?
Yeah.
Size doesn't always matter.
You're fucking preaching the choir, baby.
You're right, it doesn't. Yeah. It doesn't, does it? You start getting
right?
Please tell me it doesn't. No, it comes out on May 12th, and I just thought it was interesting that like this is one of the largest Switch games.
Yeah.
Especially for being like a first party like Nintendo game. So as opposed to like I think like Mortal Kombat on there is like
that doesn't count.
Huge, but it's not.
Yeah,
That
doesn't count.
A Nintendo game for the Switch.
Yeah.
So here we go. In his first earnings call since returning as CEO of Disney, Bob Iger announced several moves that the company is making to cut costs and grow its profits. But I make myself giggle sometimes when I write for myself. I said Bobbert Iger, and I almost threw myself off. I was like, Bobbert? What is... Bobbert Iger announced that sequels to Toy Story, Frozen, and Zootopia are all in the works.
Another Toy Story?
Yeah. That's kind of what everybody said was... Really? I didn't see Toy Story 4, but apparently it was good.
It had a good ending.
Yeah, that's what I heard.
It had a good ending.
He did not provide any details on the creative teams behind these projects, but did emphasize to investors that this is a part of the company's move towards reestablishing its, quote, marquee brands. So Disney's animation has been kind of falling flat in the last year or two, and it seems that Iger wants to kind of lean back into the brands that have succeeded for them. And so, basically going back to that well, because
the well is wet.
It is wet. Like a whetstone. Now, you figure Lightyear didn't do well for them.
Which I recently just watched.
And you said it was pretty mid.
The beginning was good, and the ending was intriguing, but like as soon as it hit like the rising action,
yeah, you're right.
I was like, this is dragging.
Yeah. I didn't see it. And then there was Strange World, which kind of came and went.
Yeah, I never saw it.
Was another flop for them. So I think they're just really struggling with, Pixar used to be their go-to. But Pixar's been lacking lately. And Disney Animation hasn't really had anything major. And so I think they are trying to... I think Encanto was probably their last, like, major success for Disney Animation.
Yeah. Encanto is real good.
It's very good. My niece is obsessed with it, so I've seen it... No, I've seen it a number of times.
I am obsessed with it.
I know you are.
And it is a very good movie. Gas.
You and my
Gas.
infant niece.
Dude, we
Just
be
two
chilling.
peas in a pod, you know? Let's see here. I lost my spot.
Both just chilling in diapers.
Yeah, just shitting yourselves, crying.
Shit, yeah.
Iger also announced that Disneyland in Anaheim would become home to a, quote, Avatar experience.
Whoa.
He didn't elaborate on what that would mean since, you know, like Disney World in Florida has Pandora.
Sure.
But he did definitely tout the fact that Avatar Way of the Water is like the 4th highest grossing film of all time right now. You know, he was big to be like, hey, investors, we've got like pretty much most of the top 10 films of all time now.
Yeah.
You know, so don't forget that, you know, even though we've had a rough year a rough quarter for subscribers on Disney Plus, they lost subscribers for the first time.
Ooh.
And a slow growth. But, you know, he ended on a positive note by saying that the major cost-cutting measure that the company is implementing is layoffs for 7,000 employees.
Word.
So that's a pretty big job loss for 7,000 associates across the company.
Kind of blows.
Yeah, that's really not good for those people.
No.
At the end of the day, obviously, it is a business, right? But it is, you know, for the people that are losing their jobs, it's not just business, right? So that's a really hard thing to hear. But they're not unique right now. A lot of companies have been, you know, like your large tech companies, your Apples, your Amazons, Microsoft, have all had large layoffs. And so it seems like Apple's or Disney's just the next one
They're
to
hopping on the
face
train.
that.
Yeah. What are you going to
Hopefully
do?
all those people are well. Variety is reporting that there is currently a Spider-Man Noir live-action series in development for Amazon. And the show is being developed by Phil Lord, Chris Miller, and Orion Uziel, which are the minds behind Into the Spider-Verse.
Oh, snap.
So, and I want to emphasize, it's a live action, this series that they're producing. And it is being written by that trio as well. So nothing else is known at this time other than the fact that it will be obviously featuring Spider-Man Noir and be set in 1930s New York and will be in its own universe.
Okay.
Now, I wonder if it'll be the same Spider-Man Noir from Into the Spider-Verse. Which
Nicolas
would be
Cage.
Nicolas Cage. That
Honestly,
would be funny.
Yeah, I would love to see
To just see 1930s like pulp, you know, just pulp noir, and he's just going around brawling people in the 30s.
Brawling
just,
up Nazis.
You know, what do you, a fisticuff, you know?
Yeah, see?
But yeah, that's literally all we know. But I saw that and I was like, yo, what?
I'd be down to watch that.
First of all,
Please let it be Nicolas Cage.
Phil Lord and Chris Miller do a great job with the Spider-Man
Yeah.
properties. They did really well, I thought, with Noir. And I'm just excited to see like something live action that feels like a really unique swing to take. You know what I mean?
Something different.
Yeah. To go, it's Spider-Man, but it's not.
Yeah, right.
You know? And so, go ahead. Oh, you took a breath while you were getting ready to speak. I didn't want to cut you
I
off.
was just breathing.
Oh, boy. So, Vincenzo Diesel, that's Vin Diesel, and David Toohey, I trust is his last name's pronunciation, are reuniting to create a 4th film in the Riddick series. So, have you ever seen any of the Riddick films? I think I've seen Pitch Black once, which is like the first movie. It came out in like the year 2000. You weren't born yet.
No, I was not. How does that make you feel?
Like you're elder. I almost said you're superior, but I was like, that's
Well,
yeah, that's a given. What do you call it? I've seen the Chronicles of Riddick, which is the second one. Don't remember much about it. And then there was a third one just called Riddick that came out in like 2013, I think. And now here we are. They're coming back to it. It's had comic books and like 2 video games and stuff like that. So I mean, it's been a not unsuccessful franchise for them.
yeah.
But so in the press release, David Toohey says, I don't know what David Toohey's voice is, so I'm not going to go for an impersonation here, but he says, end quote, "Our Legion fans have demanded it for years, and now we're finally ready to honor their call to action with Riddick Furia," Toohey said in a statement. So my collaboration with Vin and One Race, which is Vin's production company, has spanned 20 fruitful years, as together we've created 3 movies, 2 video games, an anime production, and motion comics for the internet. This new big screen event will see a return to Riddick's homeworld, where we finally get to explore Riddick's genesis. So
I've never heard of
Riddick at all.
Riddick. No. So
the official logline for the film says that Riddick returns to his homeworld, a place he barely remembers and one he fears might be left in ruins by the necromongers. But there he finds other Furians fighting for their existence against a new enemy. And some of these Furians are more like Riddick than he could have ever imagined.
Wah, wah, wah.
I bet they're his family. I'm not even joking. When it's like, that, I'm like, my God, he just
Vin
can't
Diesel,
escape.
he's
him and family, man.
they're tight, man.
Yeah.
I'd hate to be his brother, bro.
Right? Yeah.
Like,
we're family, man.
all right, man. Like, you told me that like 4 times. Like, go home.
We're family. He's just a family. I like how not like Vin Diesel we sound when we do that. Family. We just get real gruff and family. We kind of sound like a neighborhood drunk, We just family. No, but I do. I kind of hope it ends up just being a crossover with Fast X.
That would be the funniest fucking
Fast
thing.
9, they went to space, right?
Yeah.
They just show up on Riddick's homeworld. That's his family. And
we just need to have a Fast and Furious.
He runs into Dom Toretto, which is why they're more like him than he thought.
Oh my God. We just need a Fast and Furious movie that's all Vin Diesel.
Yeah.
It's all the actors are just Vin Diesel.
It's like Into the Spider-Verse, into the Dieselverse.
Into the Dieselverse.
Yeah, it's him. It's Dom Toretto, Triple X, and Riddick.
Just a bunch of different colored tank tops.
Yeah. Yeah, one's wearing a brown vest, one's wearing a wife beater, one's wearing whatever Riddick wears. I think it's like a black combat vest.
They all got chains with crosses on them.
So, take a breath. We got TV spots for, this was during the Super Bowl. We got TV spots for Transformers, Rise of the Beasts, which... really wasn't much shown.
No,
nothing new. I think it was more. It felt like it was a Porsche spot. I think, where because like the ending shot of like Transformers: Rise of the Beasts, the what do you call that Autobot symbol like flipped and was the Porsche logo, and the tagline was like what ride makes your heart like a hero or some shit.
I got a ride.
Pardon. And, it didn't really show much. Just some robots transforming and fighting.
I'd say, and stuff we've already seen, too.
Yeah, I don't know
feels
that there was
like
any new footage.
Maybe some voiceover of Mirage, knowing the Porsche's name.
We found out that his name was Mirage.
And I heard him talk.
Yeah.
Other than that...
You got a little bit of personality from him with like, come on, fist bump me.
Yeah. But other than that, I think that's about it.
Really. We got a trailer or a TV spot for Indiana Jones and the Dial of Destiny.
Yes.
Which I thought actually had a fair bit of new footage in a pretty short amount of time. It's it's just a 30-second TV spot. We got to see a bit more of Phoebe Waller-Bridge and some new action sets with like him. We got a little bit of an extension of that scene where it's like him and a bunch of Nazis at that long table.
Yeah.
And the one's like, do you remember me? He goes, I don't know. You're still a Nazi. And then the like plane crash looks like it's a bomber.
Yeah.
And it's he and Phoebe Waller-Bridge parachuting out
jumping out the back.
Bomb bay.
Yeah.
And still not sure how old Indy doing action like stunts is going to go off. I
mean, I imagine they're probably doing stunt doubles like heavily.
Well, yeah, but when it's like you got Harrison Ford being like, "Hey, kid," and he's like, stumbling along, and then all of a sudden he's jumping from car to car.
And you're like, it's just someone who's like 6'7", 280,
black.
Yo, it's just not Harrison Ford.
It's it's Terry Crews with Indiana Jones hat on, jumping between vehicles. Oh man, Creed 3.
Yeah.
Again, I don't think we got a lot of new footage in that one, but it's also really close to coming out. It comes out like second week of March, I think.
I think really soon.
So we probably won't see much new footage, but it was a good hype trailer. I mean, it had me pumped up. Like,
it does make me think like, I am curious of like, is it going to be like a Rocky where he loses, or is it going to be no, he wins?
Right.
So I don't know. I think it did a good job of kind of leaving you astray of not quite letting you know.
Well, I mean, there's really only the two options. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
It's like, hey, he wins or he loses, or he dies in the fight like his dad. I don't see that being the...
No?
But, yeah, I mean, it's just two buff dudes just gearing up to beat the fuck out of each other.
Oh, yeah.
And I'm here for it. Like that last shot that they've shown a few times, like in like, I think both of the like official trailers and then this one, is just the two of them standing in the middle of the ring trading blows.
Yeah.
I'm like, my God.
Jesus.
Just two dudes going at it until the bell goes, you know? Like
spitting blood.
Yeah.
Yeah, they're just fucking...
That might be the 13th round, you know? Where they're just going until the bell ends.
Slinging them.
Trying to get as many hits in as they can. Real quick. It's not written down here, but you showed me the Super Mario trailer. That was funny. It was a funny little trailer. Of just, it's an ad for Super Mario Brothers
for their plumbing. And they played the original Nintendo 64.
And yeah, you got the woman who's supposed to be the client just reading the prompt, and she's like, "It seems like the only thing they haven't drained is," and she's kind of like squinting her eyes, and
she
goes,
like, "Is my bank account?"
My bank account?
And she's like, "What? What?"
I don't, you know. And then it's like, you know, call, and it seems like there's a phone number that you could probably call.
Should we call it?
Yeah,
call it right now.
Thank you for calling Super Mario Brothers Plumbing. It's me, Luigi. And if you need service, please text us at the same number you just called, 92955-MARIO. That's 929-556-2746. Message us about any issues wherever you live. House, condo, mansion? And we'll be sure to text you back right away, because at Super Mario Brothers Plumbing, we don't say, let's go wait. We say, let's go. Oh, and check our website, smbplumbing.com. We're still working on it, so more updates to come. Bye-bye.
I love that it was just Luigi.
Yeah, it's just Luigi. They couldn't get Chris Pratt to
Which,
do
again, makes me very nervous.
Yeah.
Because Charlie Day, I think, plays a good Luigi.
Yeah,
he's a New Yorker.
He's got a decent New York, you know, Italian sound to his voice. But, and I like his little, you know, mansion? But yeah, and it was just that. Like, it was just an ad for the company.
Is that teasing a spinoff for Luigi's Mansion?
Luigi's Mansion. It's just a horror film. It's like horribly graphic.
Oh my God.
It's just, what is it? It's Illumination Studios, isn't it?
Yeah.
That's doing the animation. They just animate. It's like the house on Haunted Hill. I mean, it's not good. It's people getting killed by ghosts. That'd be cool.
That'd be really fucking cool.
That'd be dope.
Someone getting possessed.
Yeah.
Getting ripped apart.
Killing everybody else.
Yeah.
Illumination, reach out to us.
Yeah.
So just ahead of the Super Bowl, we got the official trailer for Fast X.
Oh. And it was
a trailer.
Cringy.
It was about 2.5 minutes. I saw a joke. I don't remember who posted it, but it was like when that trailer came out on Twitter, they, you know, retweeted it, and it said like Fast 10, your seatbelts. And I was like, perfect.
Oh.
Yeah, perfect. That kind of encapsulates the whole thing, you know?
Yeah, Fast 10. Oh, that's rough.
I'm sure that's why they've called it Fast X. It's because it was Fast 10, and it was like, ooh, that's just asking for... That's a little too on the nose.
Fasten your seatbelt. Ugh. Let's move on. I don't want...
So it turns out Jason Momoa was in Fast 5, I think, is which one that was.
Yeah.
With the safes that they're just dragging down the freeway. And is pretty mad that they stole his money. I think it was his money, maybe? Or he worked for the
something
dude?
like that.
I don't know.
The whole thing is like he said that he ruined his family, so he wants to ruin his.
Yeah, maybe he was related to that Brazilian family.
Could have been.
But Jason Momoa doesn't strike me as Brazilian. So, trailer's pretty cringe.
Yeah. No.
I fought eye rolls, which is a shame because it is a series that does really well financially. And like fans of the series really love those movies.
Yeah.
And I wish I was a part of that, you know, where I'm like, oh, yes, another Fast, you know, but it's just not me. I just go, fuck, another one? Another one.
Another one. I know, yeah.
Like, they aren't all bad, though. Like, I remember that I enjoyed 5, I think.
I remember Tokyo Drift was really good.
Tokyo Drift's really good. The first one's not even the same movie.
No.
Like, they really took a turn, I think, in 5, is when they were like, all right, let's really make this just like an action, like globe-trotting series, which is fine. They have really successfully gone, how can we take a movie series about street racing and like urban crime.
Yeah.
And turn it into like a spy international superhero movie type genre.
And then now they're in space.
Yeah, and they're like going to space and doing all kinds of shit, ripping car doors off and using them as shields. Like, they're all superheroes. Like, Dom Toretto is superhuman.
Yeah.
And they do shit with cars that just doesn't
make sense. Somehow he pulls two helicopters in the trailer and they collide into.
They were lifting him up.
Yeah.
I don't know. But I haven't seen them all. I did not like Hobbs and Shaw.
Hobbs and Shaw was bad.
It was not good. And I didn't like 8 with Charlize Theron. Not good. But
I didn't see that one.
I don't think I'm going to like this one either.
No.
Just now I'm going to roll it out there. I don't know that I'm going to see it. But I feel like we've been talking enough shit that we kind of got to see it for the podcast.
Yeah, that makes sense. But yeah, we'll go see it.
You know what we'll do is we'll just, for the 10 weeks leading up, no, I'm joking, we just watch every single
Fast and Furious.
Including Hobbs and Shaw.
Oh, no.
Oh, boy. Not doing that.
No.
We got, can you imagine 10 weeks of just... It just turns into it's a podcast about the Fast and the Furious franchise.
Couldn't be me.
No,
couldn't
it won't be me. We got a full second trailer for Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 3.
Yeah.
And it really feels like it's emphasizing the finality of this one. Like, this is the last one.
I feel like we're going to be getting that in a lot of the upcoming Marvel movies that aren't new characters.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, we're like...
Like, I feel like a lot of them from Guardians are going to die or
go their own way.
Yeah, or just be done.
Go your own way.
And then for, like, Ant-Man as well, I know, like...
There's a lot of, like, he's on his way, he's dead.
Yeah, there's a lot of ant people, and...
There's a lot of ant people.
They gotta slim them out. They gotta slim them out.
You got the Wasp, you got his daughter. Yeah. I feel like if you kill him, you got Cassie Lang, and she can be,
Young Avengers.
Yeah, exactly. Even though... And I didn't put it in the news because it was like a non-news story. A producer for Marvel said that, like, at this point there are no plans for a Young Avengers film, which is bizarre to me because there's a lot of Young Avengers.
A lot of, yeah.
Like, I mean, you could just do the Young Avengers. You've got a lot of the team.
Yeah.
So I don't know.
Yeah, you have, like, Ironheart, you have Shuri, and then...
I mean, you got Kate Bishop.
You
could probably count Yelena.
Yeah.
I mean, Florence Pugh's like 26. But, I mean... So is, I just completely lost her name, Haley Steinfeld.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean. But then if you are going to end up with Wanda's kids.
Oh, yeah.
Tommy and Billy.
Yeah.
Pulled that right on my ass.
Bingo.
And then who prompted this conversation? Cassie Lang.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I mean, you've got a lot of...
Yeah, you got a decent amount of, people.
At the end of She-Hulk, we saw Hulk's son, Hulkling,
I can't wait for that.
I mean, we've got a lot of Young Avengers.
We do.
I think it's odd that they're like, yeah, we're not doing the Young Avengers. But back to Guardians. I do feel like it's death baiting us a bit with the different like character beats that they show in the trailer.
Yeah.
Where I'm like, any or all of these people could die. Which, it honestly, like, it sounds morbid, would be a letdown now if
they didn't.
If nobody dies, or if it's
I just feel like that's too many people.
Or if it's like Mantis dies. You know what I mean? I'd be like...
But, like, why?
No.
Like, there's no reason for Mantis to die.
Like, no shade to Mantis, but she's not, like, part of the core group that was in the first movie. You know what I mean? And I feel like you can't kill Groot again.
Right.
So it's got to be, like, Rocket, Peter, or Drax.
Mm-hmm. And Gamora's just now coming
back. So that'd be weird to bring her back and then kill her again.
Nebula?
Killing Nebula, maybe?
I don't know. She didn't get a whole lot of screen time in this. And, like, in the trailer. A little bit when they started hinting at, like...
yeah, the joke.
Yeah,
about,
Peter
like,
falling in love with Nebula.
Yeah, because he describes Gamora to Gamora about, like, why he fell in love with her. And she's like, everything you just described is her. And he looks over at Nebula, and they're both kind of like, no way. And then he kind of starts giving her a look, and she's like, stop. He's like, I just never noticed how black your eyes are. And she makes the comment about, like, my father ripped them out and replaced them as a form of torture.
He made a nice choice.
He picked a nice set. Like...
you are down bad, my man.
Yeah, when he's trying to
horrendous,
down criminally. It is felonious how down bad he is. But yeah, I think it's Rocket and Drax.
Yeah, I think Rocket's not going to die, but he's going to go on his own way, and I think Drax is going to die.
Yeah,
that is my prediction. Stamp it, call it.
We see Rocket's lady love, who is an otter.
An otter. Hey, man.
Yeah.
Get down with it.
Yeah, man, get in there.
You know, they hold stuff in their armpits, so, you know, like...
Oh, stinky.
Yeah, you ain't never know what's going to happen.
And I thought it had a great music choice.
Yeah.
Like, you know, it was like a somewhat upbeat, but then also like kind of emotional of like, oh, this does feel...
I think the Guardians of the Galaxy's always had a good soundtrack.
I think that's just James Gunn. He's got a great eye for, or great ear, I guess, for
music.
song pick. We finally got a proper look at The Flash.
Yes.
Which is due out in June.
I'm very excited. It looked really good. I was really thrown off by it.
Yeah. Like, we see references to, because, like, they are very much doing Flashpoint, where, like, he's gone back in time to save his mom, and by doing so, everything has gone off the rails.
Yeah.
We see references to Man of Steel, including, like, General Zod is there, and you show the, like, I forget what it's called, like, the reverse gravity cannon thing that's like lifting the city up and then,
then dropping
I think
them.
they're called like the gravity engines.
Could be.
We see Ben Affleck, Batman, or at least Bruce Wayne, kind of telling Barry, like, this is irresponsible. Like, you shouldn't be fucking messing with this stuff. I feel like that'll probably be at the beginning.
Yeah.
We see Michael Keaton
as Batman.
He gives us his classic, I'm Batman. And I was like, yo!
I know, that was really cool.
I saw you like...
Oh, fuck.
Oh, shit. Seeing him be agile is a bit strange.
A little bit.
You know, because it's just, that wasn't...
That wasn't a thing back then, yeah.
But, you know, so you got to modernize, you know, you can't have him out there, like, unable to turn his
stiff arming people, yeah.
You know, just turning his shoulders and torso to look places. The motorcycle shots of Batman feel a little Dark Knight-ish, which isn't a negative.
But that also makes me think, are they incorporating the Dark Knight?
I don't think so.
No?
No, Chris Nolan's been pretty, like, protective of whatever he's made. So I feel like he wouldn't let them roll that.
I don't think so.
No. It might be a reference to it, or it might just be a little, you know, steely.
Yeah.
In a not, aggressive way.
I mean, I'm sure there could be a scenario where it's like he travels through another universe and, you know, a bunch of shit comes with him because he's moving so fast, and that just happens to be one of them.
Right. We see multiple berries. 2 berries. But I'm pretty sure in some of the promotional shots, there were 3. And I really do wonder if we're going to get, like, a reverse.
That's what I was going to say, is because I noticed one of them was red and the other one was yellow. So I'm thinking maybe the alternate berry is going to be reverse Flash.
Yeah, it's going to end up being bad, which would be interesting. And so apparently in some of the more recent Flash comics, Barry going back in time somehow gives Barry his powers. And I feel like we saw a shot of that in this, of like a lightning bolt passing through one Barry into the other. In like a lab setting. We get Supergirl.
Yeah.
And just the way she was behaving.
She was killing people.
It makes me wonder if this is going to be the Supergirl that we see in that DCU movie that
Which
James
I'd
Gunn
be very
announced,
excited for.
which would make sense. And then, like I said, it is borrowing heavily from Flashpoint Paradox. I kind of pointed out to you that, like, he starts off talking about how, like, time has patterns and certain people are just drawn to each other like magnets, where, you know, consistently in these timelines, there's a Thomas and Martha Wayne who give birth to a Bruce Wayne, right? Or there's a Barry who has his mom and dad, right? In some universes, mom's alive, and some she's not.
Sure.
It seems like the whole thrust of this is that he's trying to keep the universe together where his mom's alive, but by doing so, it's causing
tearing up the
to fall
universe.
apart. I really want some sort of reference to. I was telling you about, like, the Batman that kills, which is Thomas Wayne in the Flashpoint comic, and, like, Martha Wayne is the Joker, and Bruce Wayne was the one that got killed.
Well, there's a whole episode about the Batman that kills with the Flash trying to save the universe or something like that, where a bomb goes off, I think. I can't remember the whole concept, but it was one of the animated shows, the cartoons.
Okay.
But it was really good, and, like, Batman was kind of older, but he was the Batman who killed, and, like, his eyes were red, and the Flash was he lost his powers or something like that.
Flash did, or? Yeah.
And so he was trying to work with Bruce Wayne to get them back.
Yeah.
But was it Thomas Wayne?
I was going to say, in Flashpoint it is.
It could have been Thomas Wayne, and he was trying to help him.
How recent this was? Because I feel like Flashpoint was 2008.
It could have been right. It was that same art style, so I mean, something similar to that maybe.
Could be.
But so, yeah.
Because they also, I think, did an animated movie of Flashpoint.
That could have been it.
Yeah.
That could have been it.
Like, DC's animation has always been pretty solid.
Mm-hmm.
Pretty solid. Always been better than Marvel's, I feel.
Oh, absolutely.
Marvel's had the leg up live action wise, but I feel like DC's always had animation on lock.
Mm-hmm.
My iPad keeps turning off on me.
I liked some of the Spider-Man.
Yeah, but like I haven't had a good Spider-Man series since like
that's true
2000.
No.
Back in my day. The fucking X-Men, dude. I'm so excited for X-Men 97.
Yeah.
Do you have any further thoughts on The Flash?
No, I'm really excited to see it.
Yeah, like I didn't think I'd be.
No, I didn't think I was going to be excited.
You know, we're coming up on our 1 year of doing this podcast, and it feels like it's been a year of us going. In other Ezra Miller news, so I'm really excited that they might be pulling off a fucking comeback of the century here.
Check out this hip maneuver.
Yeah, I'm like, yo. And I really like the idea that even James Gunn and Peter Safran are not counting them out. They're like, you know, if they keep going the way they are and getting themselves together, like they seem to be really dedicated to improving themselves and going through the rehab or whatever to be a better person. And there is a potential future in DC for them.
Yeah.
I'm like, yo, like I'm behind Ezra on this. I hope that they get their shit together and make, first of all, the first good DC movie in
so long
decade, and then they fucking they are in the future of the DC. Like I said, if you'd asked me a year ago who was going to survive a culling of the DC universe, it was not Ezra Miller as the Flash.
Not one bit.
So go Ezra. Now on to our topic for the week.
Yes.
Comfort movies.
Mm-hmm.
I have 5. You said you had like 10?
I have 10, but I can narrow it down to 5.
I mean, you can rattle some off.
Yeah, sure.
Do you want to start?
Yeah. So
yeah.
I've been a little sick lately, and doctor's orders was to strictly kind of stay in bed, and you're playing the violin. Mm-hmm. So he just said they said to take it easy. So that got us to talking about what movies we like to watch when we were sick growing up, or still to this day. To this day. And one of the ones I really enjoy watching, and I think I've definitely talked about it before, is Where the Wild Things Are. The live action one that was made back in 2009?
07, I feel.
07?
It's oddly creepy.
I thought it was really sad. Mm-hmm. And it's one of those where it's so sad it's good.
Yeah.
Just the... because Where the Wild Things Are, the book is based off of, but all the monsters are his emotions.
Right.
And he's trying to learn to balance with all of those.
He's working with them.
So, I mean, that just kind of holds a childhood special spot.
Yeah.
But, just getting bundled up, watching that, with him and Casey, the main monster, and then they're having, like, their dirt ball fights, so getting to watch that, it does kind of bring, like, that youthfulness in me again, where I get to feel a little bit like a kid while I watch that. And then, they end up building that big old nest where they all sleep in together. Yeah. But then it is really touching of, the sense that he knows he has to go back home.
Right.
He
can't stay here.
He can't stay here forever. And that's really sad. And at the big dynamic change from the beginning of him being this wild, animal, essentially, running around with other wild animals, to then having the realization of, I can't do this. I gotta collect myself, I gotta
get my shit together.
I gotta go back home.
Yeah.
So there's like a lot of growth within that, and it's like a lot of self growth. Mm-hmm. And so like just watching that as a kid, always made me feel better and made me look differently at things. Yeah. So I really, it's a good comfort movie for me.
Yeah. Do you want to double up? Do you want to do all 10 of yours, or do you just want me to?
I know some of the ones I did talk about I have already mentioned. Okay. So I will. The second one again is going to be The Iron Giant.
Yeah. Oh my god. Yeah.
It's just that one there is just so good.
That shit makes me cry.
Every time.
My dad cry.
It's so good.
Oh.
But again, it's just like that. The whole movie's a metaphor of, not to judge a book by its cover.
Right. Well, and I think it's also got a really important moral message for kids of like,
you choose who you want to be.
Yeah. You aren't made to be anything. Mm-mm. You don't have to be. Mm. I think it's definitely a lesson for people who like potentially have shitty parents.
Yeah. And they expect them to be something.
You don't have to be what you're made to be. Mm-mm. Right. And, he's supposed to be a weapon, and
And he's
chooses
not.
to be Superman.
He wants to be good.
And that shit, when he,
Takes that nuke up.
that nuke and he says, you stay, I go, no following. Yeah, and you are who you choose to be. And he goes, Superman. That's Vin Diesel. That is Vin Diesel, by the by. Let's get him in. Riddick.
Yep.
He's in Riddick 4.
Fast 10, here we come.
Fasten your seatbelt.
But no, just that scene where and he closes his eyes
and catches that nuke.
He knows.
And like saves the town, and they build a fucking statue in his memory.
Mm-hmm. And then at the very end, I remember as a
starts
kid
to reassemble.
always wanting to see something happen after that where he gets to come back.
Yeah.
But it's not. And as I'm older, I'm kind of glad they didn't.
Yeah. Because it's like...
leave it to the imagination.
Yeah, it stands well.
But that movie was phenomenal. And, learning about with him having that father figure, Dean, with his mom always working at the diner. And then
his mom is Jennifer Aniston.
Huh.
Yeah. And fucking Harry Connick Jr. plays Dean. And it's like, Harry Connick Jr. hasn't been in anything in like 20 years.
I always thought, I may be wrong here, was Dean in the movie supposed to be like James Dean?
I have no clue.
I always made that assumption just because like the style he went with,
right?
Of kind of like having that, like he wore like the black turtleneck with the jeans and boots, and so more like that artiste
culture.
And so
and he's like building art out in his
junkyard.
Shop,
But so I loved watching that, and like one of the things that like stands out to me about that movie is, and I've never done it, and I'm scared to because if I do, I might die. But what is it where he grabs the Twinkie and then the whipped
cream can?
And just pops it in the bottom hole and just And I'm like, oh, I remember watching as a kid, like, this kid's a fucking genius.
This kid is on another level.
His head is
just thumping.
Swollen.
It's got veins down the middle of his forehead. He's just so full of ideas.
But no, those are two definitely, top list movies I enjoy watching. What about you?
Did you say topless?
Top list movies.
Yeah, no, I know. I'm just being a child. Yeah. Juno.
Yeah.
I mean, that's one that, like, so it was the first movie that came to mind when we were like, what's a movie you watch when you're sick? Because I actually have a very distinct memory of, I had like a small tube TV with a built-in DVD player, and I'd put Juno in. I'd like rented it from the library, and it was up on my TV, and I'm just sick, fighting a fever, slipping in and out of consciousness in bed. And way back in the time before, DVDs used to go to the main menu after the movie ended. Yeah. And when it sat on the main menu long enough,
it would play again.
The movie would run again. And so it was in, and I just couldn't be bothered to get up and change it. And so I was just slipping in and out of consciousness, and I'd come to at like different parts of the movie. And I watched this movie like out of order a few times in a row before I'm like, what the fuck is going on? But luckily I had seen it before.
So you knew what was going on.
Happening. But I mean, it's got Elliot Page playing just a really funny, quirky teenage girl who's like, it's an accidental pregnancy. Yeah. Juno, she gets pregnant like seemingly maybe the first time she's had sex, and it's just bad luck. And Michael Cera plays such a good like loser character who's her best friend and the father of her baby, and then
just real awkward in that sense, and it's hard. And
I wrote here that it's very much a product of like mid 2000s indie culture. Of like, we're quirky and it's different, but there's so many good like one-liners in that. And her dad is J.K. Simmons, and he is a really good dad in that movie. Yeah. The quote that Morgan and I always kick back and forth is, I forget the exact lining on it, but he's like, because she's kind of asking him like, Dad, like, how do people make love work, And because he's like, well, I'm not like a poster child because he's remarried. Yeah. And he's like, but, the long and short of it basically is like, good days, bad days, hairy or not, the right person's just still going to think the sun shines out of your ass, And you're like, yeah, But the other one that we laugh about is her freaking younger sister's name is Liberty Bell. and they're having dinner, and she is just sprinkling so many bacon bits on her baked potato, And J.K. Simmons like knees the bottom of the table and goes, Liberty Bell, if you put one more bit on that potato, I'm going to kick your little monkey butt. And that's Morgan and I, whenever we make baked potatoes, so we're always just like,
Liberty Bell.
But no, and it ends up having like a really nice, like, it has some emotional moments in it.
It has
where like,
it's a big heart, jerker.
Or like at the end of the movie, she like, I mean, obviously she has the baby.
Right, she gives birth.
And, like she decides to give the baby up for adoption and stuff. And like, I remember as a kid, like the scene when she is delivering the child and like they show her like gray and sweaty and bent in half screaming, and I was like, as a kid, I like, for some reason I got like teary eyed and I'm like, what is happening?
Is she dying?
Yeah. I'm like, well, no, I knew what was happening, but it was like the first time that I'd ever seen it like actually depicted, of like
a little more realistic.
This is, it's one of the hardest things that the human body's ever going to do, and I'm like, oh my God. And then the fact that like she never sees the baby, and she opts out, and I'm like, my God, this is just it took a turn. Like it went from being a quirky comedy to like heartfelt. And as a little kid laying in bed sick, I'm like, this feels like it's touching emotions and stuff that I didn't know I had. And so it's always one that I kind of think back on. I'm like, that's a good movie. Like that's a feel good movie that I need to watch more often.
Yeah.
And you got two more on you, kid.
I do. The next one I had is it was made in 1981. It's called American Pop.
And you're going to say American Pie.
American Pie? No, American Pop. It's an animated movie.
Okay.
And it's all about music. Music as time moves forward, how music moves forward. And it starts off, and you're following this guy who goes to World War II.
Okay.
But he's a pianist.
Yeah.
So he's playing the tune, but he gets drafted and he ends up going to war, and it's just showing like the brutality of it.
Right.
But at the very end, I think they're like storming somewhere in France, trying to
liberate France.
Yeah, and push Germany back. And there's a spot where he's by himself, and he just starts playing, and he knows he's gonna die because he's got nobody there to help him.
Right.
So he starts playing a German tune, and like a German soldier kind of walks in, and he just kind of listens to the tune, and when he's done, he closes the piano and just kind of puts his hands on it.
Yeah.
And the German guy says thank you, and then kills him, obviously.
Right. Yeah.
But then from there, it follows his son.
Yeah.
And then from they're growing up through, what would that be, the 40s and 50s.
And 60s, yeah.
So growing up from there, I think it jumps a little bit into the 60s, more of like the hippie-ish phase.
Sure.
So
counterculture.
Into the 70s. Just them being on acid, and his son meeting his wife on acid. On like a big trail where they're in the bus, just trolling around.
Yeah.
And then from there, I think like his dad like ODs or something. Then you follow his son, who grows up in the 80s.
Yeah.
And in this one, he tries to make it out of because excuse me, let me back up for a second. I'm getting a little scrambled.
Yeah.
So the whole thing is, no matter what generation it was, except for the first one, they've all kind of struggled with drug abuse. Oh, okay. And like of either taking it or selling it or being a part of it.
Yeah.
But still having that love and appreciation for music and trying to break that mold and do something with that.
Yeah.
I can't remember I can't remember any of their names. Let me look it up real quick. It's been so long since I've seen that movie, but I remember I was probably 4th or 5th grade, way too young to see this movie.
Yeah.
Right. And I remember watching it, and I remember the music aspect of it played a really big toll in my life, especially when they started to hit like the late 70s into the 80s when they started playing Pink Floyd. Like I remember
it was music that like you knew.
And it kind of like was able to reinforce that. Let's see. Louis is the one we end up ending with.
Yeah.
So he's the last kid. And then Pete is as the father, then it's Tony, then it is Louis.
Yeah.
So following Pete, he's the World War II soldier, and then following Tony, just getting really big drugs, getting into drugs in like the late 60s, early 70s.
Yeah.
And then following Louis because his dad ODs and kind of in his arms.
Yeah.
And he, in his dying breath tells him like, you need to break out of this.
Yeah, don't do this.
Yeah, you need to quit. And it ends up with him, instead of using the drugs, he sells them until it's done. And they took all that money to open up and get a bunch of instruments and kind of like just starts playing music and is successful doing it.
Yeah.
So it is really interesting. You know, it's a beautiful take of the plot behind the story of breaking out of the mold of the,
Right.
you know, of what kind of like
the cycle of abuse. And,
right. And, you know, and kind of going back to the Iron Giant of what you think you're made for,
yeah,
you know, and you don't have to be that.
whatever you want to be.
And, just seeing how music changes and music grows and the people change with it. And, you know, it's really good. And I'll have to watch it again, but I know that was just one of the ones I was like, oh, American Pop was definitely a good movie. It's directed by, let me see here. Let me see. Ralph Bakshi?
Okay.
Bakshi. Bakshi. Yeah. 1981.
And so it's called American Pop.
And really good. I thoroughly enjoy it, and you know, it is just a good. You get to hear music from, you know,
over the decades.
and it's just really good. I like it a lot. Yeah. At the end, it makes a feel good feeling.
Brings it together. And what's your second one?
And then my last.
I guess
one
your
here.
fourth one there. Yeah.
Oh, yeah, I threw this one on here. Team America World Police. I had to fucking put that one on there.
Team America!
Fuck yeah! I'm gonna save the motherfucking day now. Let me pull up all the information.
Your game is through. Now you'll have to answer to America. Fuck yeah! That's it's a dumb movie, but it's so good.
Yes, it is. I think
Just a too long puppet sex scene. That is just graphic.
I like the scene where he's in the back alley and he begins to throw up, and you can visibly see the spigot in his mouth of where he's just puking too much.
Yeah. For some reason, they just give Matt Damon a mental disability.
Matt Damon.
A learning disability, yeah.
Okay, here it is. It has a 77% on Rotten Tomatoes.
Yeah.
Like, it is a good movie.
Yeah.
80% audience
It is
score.
intensely satirical.
It is directed by...
Well, it should be Matt Stone and Trey Parker.
Yep.
Yeah. They're the guys that made South Park.
Yes. That is correct.
I know.
Whoa.
I wasn't saying it should, like, oh, yeah, it should be. Like,
I'm letting you know.
Yeah, I was informing you.
Yeah, that's a really good movie, though. Just...
Not for kids at all.
I know. It's awful in every sense. It's offensive in every sense, but it's
it might
done
not be for some adults.
so tastefully, and it's just... In the sense of, obviously, it's satirical.
Yeah.
Like, they're making fun of it so bad, it's like... Okay.
Yeah.
But so I thoroughly enjoyed that film. Nothing more than it just being
Just
a stupid fucking film.
Yeah.
Everyone has AIDS. AIDS.
Well, with that in mind, I'm going to follow that up with Forrest Gump.
You can't fucking do that.
That was my next one. Everyone has AIDS. Well, Forrest Gump here.
Jenny.
Maybe you should refrain from impersonating.
Forrest Gump?
Yeah.
Is that Mr. Gump? Mrs. Gump?
Yeah.
He's on vacation.
Yeah, he's like, your mama sure does care about your education, boy.
Your mama sure does care about your education.
So, it's just another nice movie that has a lot of heart. Tom Hanks does not disappoint you at all in that movie. I mean, he manages to thread the needle on that one. I think of, I won't quote it, but I think of Robert Downey Jr. in Tropic Thunder.
Yeah,
you know?
yeah. It is.
Yeah, Tom Hanks really manages to
there's a really thin line when it comes to
right in the Goldilocks zone on that. Like the character of Forrest is just so sweet and caring
and innocent
that like you just can't help but feel like, oh, yeah, this is he's a sweet guy. Like, and even in the moments when like it's not a sweet movie of like, you know, seeing like the horrors of war or the AIDS crisis and you know, everything in between, all the stuff that Forrest has to go through and like dealing with grief and things like that. It does a really good job of like putting all of that through the lens of like an adult man with an innocence to him, just because of his you know, his mental capacities, right? And I cry every time I watch that movie, and I could watch it a million times. And like just seeing him,
The scene where Bubba's just in his arms and he's like, Forrest, I want to go home.
Yeah, and they're just sitting, and just and him consistently, that's all I gotta say about that.
That's all I gotta say about that.
You're like,
I mean, but he does come home. He gives the money to Bubba's family. He keeps his promise, and it's just he's a good man.
He's a good guy. Yeah,
he's a good man.
And I like. I mean, I always tell you. I always quote you the line when he's been running across America. He's like, "I'm pretty tired.
Yeah, I'm pretty tired.
I think I'll go home now." And everybody's just kind of like, "What?" Like when they're like, "Wait, he's gonna speak." Like he is a prophet. And they're just following this guy who's just running.
He's just running. Yeah, he just wanted to take a run to clear his mind.
Because he started running after his mom died, didn't he?
Yeah,
that was
I think his mom died. Then I think didn't he just have an interaction with Jenny and like it didn't go well, or she left or something. Then his mom died. And
I think it was after. I think she came to see him after his mom died, and it's when they have sex, and she is gone in the morning.
Yeah,
and he just kind of was like. Well, for no particular reason, I just started running.
I like running.
But it's a great story of like this guy's done a lot of stuff. You got 2 more for me?
Yeah. Let me see here. So the next one I know I wanted to talk about was Shrek 2. Mm-hmm. I mean, just because I love Shrek. I grew up right at the perfect time for it of coming out. The first Shrek was obviously really good, but Shrek 2 really stood out to me.
Dude, yeah,
it's
Shrek 2
it was like the peak.
Yeah, that's like the Godfather 2 for the Shrek.
And just being able to, I remember, again, it's like one of those, like, I remember having strep and like watching Shrek on the couch, just like.
Do you remember the fucking DVD extras of.
Oh, yeah, it's like the Brady.
Talent, but it's.
And then they also had like the Brady Bunch, didn't they?
No, so it's the squares, right? But that was how you picked the contestants for the game show.
Okay.
For the talent show.
Okay. I thought it was supposed to be like the Brady Bunch when it's all the boxes up there.
No, and you could select like the 3 blind mice sing like I can see clearly now.
I didn't know that. No.
Yeah.
I'll have to see if I still have the DVD.
Yeah.
The bonus edition on
it's
it.
basically like what's the kingdom?
Kingdom Far, Far Away.
Far, Far Away, yeah. And it's like Far, Far Away Idol. And like the mirror on the wall is the host of the of the show. Yeah. And you can choose all of the different contestants like performances.
But no, I really liked honestly, like Shrek 3 flopped.
Mm-hmm. Shrek the Third.
Shrek the Third flopped. But like all the other ones like
Shrek Forever After?
Is that what the one with Rumpelstiltskin?
Yeah.
I didn't think that was bad.
It wasn't bad.
I don't think it was their best one, but
Shrek 2 just
from pulling that after Shrek the Third, and then they're making a new one.
Yeah,
and I know the Puss in Boots movie,
just fucking
which we already talked about, and apparently, again, it's one of those like it's a kids movie, but there's an underlining meaning behind
it's about like
fighting
death.
Death.
Yeah.
Next.
Yeah. Pass. Yeah. Well, you're the one that's got to do too. You're like next. We got to do next.
Next, keep going.
Like, it's you.
Keep going.
We're waiting on you.
I couldn't. I bet you I could find it if I really Googled it. I think it was just Jimmy Neutron Boy Genius.
Mm-hmm. Like his first movie.
The movie.
Yeah, with like the aliens.
Yeah. And
I saw that one uptown at the theater.
Really? Mm-hmm. Oh, dude, I remember fucking having that on disc, man, and just at the very end, when it's the big fight scene and they're all flying their like ships and stuff, and we're the kids of America. Whoa. So I mean, just again, it gives you really that youthful feeling. But then, like, I don't know, it kind of plays a big role of like childhood cartoons I really liked and like would still probably catch up on.
Like I remember watching the Fairly Odd Parents cross Jimmy Neutron.
Oh yeah, and I remember watching the whole animation swap.
Movie. Yeah,
and I was like, "Yo, what the fuck is going on?"
Cut it out.
Yeah. You gotta stop playing.
Yeah, Nickelodeon, chill the fuck out. Right?
They really didn't have to pop off.
Right, meow.
Right, meow. But no, I thoroughly enjoyed that one. I think that's also the episode where like the pants come to life.
Maybe, yeah.
Like they're all after him and everyone's just pantsless.
Yeah.
But I mean, Jimmy Neutron as a whole, just boy genius with Garter. No, what's his dog's name?
Oh,
it starts with a G. Jimmy. I think it is Garter.
Could be.
I don't know.
Beats me.
I don't know. But I know that they're re-upping. I think we talked about this already, but I can't remember. They're re-upping on Phineas and Ferb for another 40 episodes, and they're going to break it up into 2 seasons. I keep seeing more and more about that. I'm getting so excited. Because, I mean, I think for the last episode, they made it like they're about to go to college.
Yeah.
And so I am curious to like, okay, now we have this. Do we want to fill in that spot for that first season of what happened between then and then the last episode? So almost like a prequel. And then the next season is what happens after that? Maybe. Or are they just going to say, you know what?
Let's show them at college.
Yeah. Huh?
Let's show them at college.
Oh, I was going to say we're just doing a season of Phineas and Ferb.
Yeah.
104 days of summer vacation.
Yeah.
I'd love to see that again. And Perry. Agent P. That shit. That shit was just fire.
It was lukewarm, baby.
Whoa.
No. No, I missed I missed Phineas and Ferb.
Really?
Yeah, I was a little too old when it came out for me. You know, I was right in that sweet spot where I was like, I'm not watching a cartoon. You know what I mean?
I never hit that phase.
No.
I've always watched cartoons as a kid all the way up through adulthood. I was just like, I mean, obviously there's kid cartoons, and then there's cartoons where you can be for a mature audience.
I watched Adventure Time.
Oh yeah, Regular Show is huge on.
No.
Which I think you would like Regular Show. I think a lot of the humor in it is dumb enough to be like. Get one of those where it's like the
fucking saying to me.
You know, where you laugh out of your nose. Yeah. But what about you?
Monsters Inc.
Ooh, that's a good one.
Yeah,
that's a real good one.
Quit playing. Like this is one from my childhood that even up into like my early 20s, I could put that shit on, and when I wasn't feeling good, and it would just cheer me up. Like the relationship between Boo and Sully. Stop playing.
Yeah,
like, it's devastating. It manages to get me emotional as an adult. When at the end, when he gets the door back and he puts it together and and adjusts his face and she goes, Kitty. I'm like, damn it.
Damn it, Disney.
The fact that we haven't gotten a proper sequel is just so upsetting.
Yeah, we got Monsters University and it was good.
Yeah, it wasn't
Don't
bad,
get me wrong.
but it wasn't what I wanted.
Right, it wasn't. I wanted to see them.
I wanted to see, like, he got back to see Kitty.
And again, maybe it is one of those where it's you leave it up to the mind.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah, I don't think there's anything they could do that would, like, satisfy.
But I could go for, like, a 20-minute short of just them having fun.
Yeah, if we, like how we've gotten Doug days.
Right, exactly. We can have that.
Get some adventures of Boo and Kitty, you know? I really enjoyed the comedy of Monsters, Inc.
Oh, yeah.
Like, I think it's one of the funniest animated kids movies ever. Like, I think about the scene when they're interviewing, like, the news after they have to, like, quarantine the city. And, I mean, it's so... That is the people they find to put on the news. Where he's like, you know, the kid jumped on the car and used his...
laser beams out of his eyes.
Yeah, shot laser beams out of his eyes. Used his mind powers to pick me up and it shook me like a dog. You know, and you're like, that's not what happened at all. It's just like, what the fuck, dude?
I also like what's the scene where
when Randall goes into the trailer and they send him through the closet door and he comes out in the trailer.
And they're in Florida.
Like, Mama, another gator got in. And they're beating his ass with a shovel.
They're going to eat him.
Yeah.
What is it when Mike is talking to or Sully's sleeping and he's like, well, looks like it's 73 degrees outside, light forecast, and perfect day for scaring unless you got that flab hanging off the side of the bed.
Yeah.
Wake up, Sully.
Yeah. Or when they just break out and go, put that thing back where I came from. So help me. So help me. That's a good movie.
It's a good movie.
And the fucking abominable snowman.
Don't worry, it's lemon.
Yeah. The yellow snow cones. Don't worry, it's
lemon.
Oh shit.
I'm trying to think of another really good movie.
I thought you had 10.
I did.
Yeah,
well, I was trying to think of the ones I just
think.
Well,
you got them written down, don't you?
Yeah, I have the website pulled up.
The website.
Mm-hmm.
You just look up comfort movies.
No,
you just turn it towards me. It is an adult site.
Just Up was another. Again, it's a Disney one, so playing off that Up.
Pixar.
Yeah. But watching that and just Carl and Ellie in the beginning.
Yeah, fuck you. Yeah. Get that shit out of here. Stop it. Apparently, there's a short coming out called Carl's Big Date, and it's about Carl like trying to get back out there.
I don't want that.
Why not?
I guess I do.
Yeah, why wouldn't you want him to? You want him to just grieve until his last breath? Mm-hmm. Jesus.
No.
No, I mean, I think that's why it's a nice thing. It's like part of grief is acceptance.
Oh, yeah.
Like, you know, being able to move forward.
Move on.
And I think it's an important message for Carl of like, until the events of Up, he wasn't ready to
move on.
He thought his life was done, and it's not.
And then, Russell and Doug and Kevin came all into his life, and he realized that there's more. There is more.
Yeah.
Which, playing a big role of having Carl play that father figure for Russell and he comes into the assembly for Russell.
Yeah, and puts the patch on him.
And he puts that pin on him, and it's the grape soda one, and it just it just fucks me up.
Yeah.
But I mean, again, the overall meaning behind most Disney Pixar movies, they're big, heart wrenchers. They'll get you good. Yeah. But then also like the progression through. Like, I think it is in Doug Days, and I haven't seen the full thing. Yeah. But there's a line, and, like, it makes me grab my dog and, cry.
Tells him, like, And
he's like, Papa, am I just a pet?
Yeah. And
he's like, no, well, yeah, you're my dog, but you're not just a pet, Yeah. He goes, you are my pet, but you are also my best friend.
Yeah, and he gives him the spiel,
So, I just grab my dog and bundle up and just tell him how much I love him.
Yeah.
And he blankly stares at me in confusion.
He's just got squirrely eyes and just looking at you and the wall.
He's happy to be here, and that's all that matters.
Just the glassiest little eyes like marbles.
Mm-hmm. And I'm completely... He's happy, and that's...
He is.
I feel like...
Yeah. I don't think he's able to be unhappy.
Well, you might be right.
He's just over there flipping a bone up in the air.
Trying to chew it with his back teeth.
What's your next one there?
The other one I had was Inglourious Bastards.
That's the only other one you had?
No, my next one was Inglourious Bastards. Yeah. Again, a movie I saw way too young.
Oh, yeah.
But it made me fall in love with a lot of Quentin Tarantino films just because of, I mean, it's Inglourious Bastards. It's such a good movie.
Freaking Christoph Waltz.
Yeah.
Horrifying in that movie.
Yeah.
Like that scene when they're having the streusel, or the strudels.
Oh.
The cream puffs. Mm-hmm. Yeah, and putting the whipped cream on top of them.
And he's just, he doesn't know at that point.
He has a hunch that
he's got a hunch that
she's a Jew. Which is why he wants the cream.
Mm-hmm. And then, honestly, it probably scarred me as a kid.
Yeah.
But I don't look at it unfondly.
Yeah.
Of the part where, what's his name? He was the baseball player, the Bear Jew.
Yeah.
Louis.
It's Eli Roth.
Is it Eli Roth?
Yeah.
Who is Louis?
I don't know.
I think that, no.
But Eli Roth
Stiglitz. Hugo Stiglitz. That's the guy who got captured, and they came in and were like, we're a big fan of your work.
Yeah.
I can't remember, but yeah, just that scene where you hear the...
Yeah. Yeah.
And they're coming up, and he goes, where'd you get that medal from?
Yeah.
And he's like, bravery. He's like, I got some bravery right here for you. Crack!
Wow. And just beats this man to death with a ball bat.
Dude.
Intense.
Watching that makes me just amped. Fucking ready.
Yeah. Eyes rolling back.
So much testosterone and masculinity flowing.
Nothing like beating a Nazi to death with your bat.
That's all you want.
Wall-E.
Oh, that's a good one. That was on my list.
Was it? Mm-hmm. My bad.
Oh, that's cool.
Wall-E's just nice and mellow.
Mm-hmm.
Especially, obviously, at the start when it's like just Wall-E.
Yeah.
And then, Eva as well, when it's just the two of them chilling on like just an abandoned Earth.
The part where Eva shuts down.
Yeah.
And Wally's still taking care of her, walking around, trying to show her life. Her.
Yeah. Yeah. The movie manages to be optimistic, like about human perseverance, love, and the ability for life to continue. Honestly, it's like really impressive for a kids movie to be entertaining.
Yeah.
Through minimal dialogue and just like watching the daily routine of this robot who's just lonely and wants to be loved. You know, when he holds his own hand watching the romance movie on there, that's fucked.
He's just lonely. He wants somebody.
Yeah, and you're like,
I don't have an answer for that.
Siri, you bitch. Sorry.
But no.
That's.
Did you hear the theory about the By and Large? About how they're cannibals?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, because they've been up there for so long.
Yeah,
that,
where's that food coming from?
Yeah, food's got to come from somewhere, and they put it all in smoothies, and they can just add artificial flavoring.
Yeah.
And it was just like, yeah, they're eating themselves. They're eating their grandparents and stuff like that. Because they're like, you can't bury them out there, right? Because
otherwise you just jettison them. That's a waste.
Yeah, so put them to use.
Yeah.
Turn them into fuel and food.
Yeah, dude smoothies.
Mm-hmm. And I like that, but also makes me very uncomfortable.
Yeah. I love the Pixar theory. Have you ever read that or seen that?
Is that where they're all
Yeah,
interconnected? Yeah.
Some of them are a real stretch. Mm-hmm. But it's an interesting, to see somebody string it all together.
Yeah.
Because, By and Large is a company that exists in a lot of Pixar movies.
It was in Toy Story as well.
By and Large is the company that's buying Carl's house.
Yeah.
And, they make the batteries that go in Buzz. In Toy Story 3 when they have to knock his batteries out. I guess he's in Spanish mode when they reset them. But I really enjoy WALL-E.
WALL-E's really, really good.
Yeah, that's all I got. It's a good movie.
Mm-hmm. I remember with, Mo follows him, the little cleaner dude.
Yeah.
Or what's the one guy who, I don't think we ever find out his name, but he's the big camera and he's got the little hand and he's waving at you. It makes me think of the Space Odyssey. Uh-huh. But no, it's a really good movie.
Well, how many more did you have?
I have 2.
You have 2 more? Mm-hmm. Including the WALL-E that I stole from you or without them?
That's without WALL-E.
All right, go ahead. You do one, I'll do one, you finish us off.
Okay. So the one I wanted to talk about was The Office, the TV show. I've always been a fan of it.
Yeah.
And especially when I remember back in heavy COVID times, that played a really big role because I owned the everything on disc, and I think at that time I was moving out and everything like that, and so I only had a TV and my PlayStation, so I was just playing movies and watching The Office through that. But the cringy humor in that I love. It's so dry, and it's you get that secondhand embarrassment from it, and it's just how do you come back from that?
Watching whiskey chew that bone,
she's getting in it. She's getting nasty on it.
Yeah.
But just the relationship Michael has with Stanley, Phyllis, everybody, and then just the more you watch it, the more I start to appreciate some of the smaller characters Creed. Creed has a really good one-liner where he's just all the kids are, it's bring your kid to work day. Uh-huh. And Creed's who wants to see a foot with 6 toes? And all the kids are ew. And Pam's all right, come on, kids.
Let's go this way, guys.
And he's up putting his foot on his desk, taking off his shoe real quick.
Yeah. I haven't watched it start to finish, but I've caught episodes here and there with you. Is it maybe Halloween when he's covered in blood and he's basically
this is really good timing.
Really good day. Yeah.
Really good timing.
Good time for this. Yeah.
Or there's one where he's he's coming in and it's, what's his name? Something Crawdad. It's one that there's been a murder.
Yeah.
I do declare. But Creed comes in, he goes, sorry, I'm late, boss. And he goes, there's been a murder. And he's let me go ahead, set my stuff down and get comfortable, and I'll be right back. And he just leaves.
Doesn't come back.
He just leaves. So yeah, just watching that show and really appreciating
the
a lot.
CPR. And they're all right, first thing we got to do is check and see if he's got an ID or if he's got his wallet. It'll be in his wallet. And he goes, he doesn't have one. I checked. Yeah.
But he's an organ donor.
Yeah.
The heart, the precious heart. Clarice. Why would you cut the face off? I wanted to see if it was realistic.
Turns out, pretty realistic.
Pretty realistic. But
and such a stupid little one-liner there when he says that this, that dummy cost $1,500, and he goes, 15 or what does he say? He says
$1,500, and he goes, $15,000. I think he says
he moves
jumps
the,
it. Yeah, the
he moves
decimal.
zero one.
Yeah, and they're like, what?
It's not what all. Yeah.
But then seeing a lot of and like after Michael leaves, it does dip in quality, I think.
Yeah.
Just because, in my opinion, that's what a lot of the show was, is like that dry humor and about Michael.
Yeah.
But obviously he left because I think he was doing 40-year-old virgin and starting to do.
He was becoming.
Yeah, doing other movies and stuff like that.
He got too big for their britches.
Apparently, they made bank, and they made $100,000 an episode.
Yeah, I hope you know that in TV, that's not that big.
Fuck, bro, it's a lot of money for me.
Oh, I know, but as far as TV goes, they could have been making so much more. The cast of Friends by the end, right now, the cast of Friends makes $20 million a year off of reruns.
Jesus.
That is insane.
You ain't hurting for money no more.
No. But also Friends is one of the largest sitcoms ever made.
That's very true.
Seinfeld the same way. Mm-hmm. They survive off of reruns.
Yeah.
Yeah. What's his name? Jim Parsons, who played Sheldon on The Big Bang Theory.
Yeah.
He was making $1 million an episode.
I bet.
By the end, yeah. So he is.
I really liked him in Believe It or Not Home.
Is that the one with Rihanna where he plays the alien?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
That was a really good movie. I really like that one.
You ever see the movie Hidden Figures? About the three black women who worked for NASA during the moon? The Apollo missions?
I haven't finished it, but I remember I started it.
He plays a real good asshole in that.
Does he really?
Yeah. We're like, man, he is a son of a bitch. But
that's when you know it's a good actor, is when you can hate them and then...
Yeah. And also have endearing qualities in other roles and things like that.
Right.
I figure you go ahead and do your last one, and then I'll do my last one, and then we'll move on.
The last one I was going to talk about is Star Wars: The Clone Wars.
Oh, word?
Yeah, that, just growing up.
The movie or the series?
Both. I remember the movie. I owned it on disc.
Yeah.
And I burnt the fuck out of that CD. But then after that, just starting to watch all of it as a kid. I remember Saturday morning, I'm running downstairs, just turning it on the TV, trying to, watch some Cartoon Network. And, with Star Wars playing just such a massive role in my life, it's something definitely noteworthy.
Yeah.
But I do love how it was different from the show in the sense of we got to see a little more, and it's something I feel like we don't see too often in Star Wars, how consistent and how constant lightsaber duels are.
Yeah.
And a lot of the live action, you get maybe two or three really good, good fights, but you don't see a whole lot.
Yeah.
But in the Clone Wars, that's just, that's part of it.
Episode, yeah.
So I do enjoy to see that. And makes me want to see more.
Yeah.
But then also being introduced into Ahsoka, to Ahsoka.
Yeah.
Which a phenomenal character and the story arc behind her.
Yeah, and she's still going today.
Yeah, and she's getting her own show to this day.
Yeah, she showed up in The Mandalorian, and now she's getting her own show, live action with Rosario Dawson.
But, and then, a big thing is, there was a lot of, I think after, the first two seasons, they started to put a lot of lore.
Yeah, and I feel like the first two seasons kind of are just, I don't want to say ramshackle, but they feel unconnected episodes.
I think they are. They made it, and then they're like, "Oh, we have a really good opportunity on our hands after the second."
Make this a serial.
Yeah, and then so that's what they did and ran with it, and did a phenomenal job with it. But the follow up of the connections that they have with the clones really impacts Order 66.
Yeah,
of how detrimental it was.
Yeah,
and then as well as seeing Ahsoka and Anakin having their disputes and being able to see further in the seasons Anakin start to change.
Yeah.
And it's the small things where it's oh, he did something like that earlier, but why didn't it feel as impactful as it does now? Right. Or it's just because he's gradually using more emotion and falling to the dark side behind it.
Getting darker.
But it's so good. And then it also gives a lot of lore to when General Grievous in episode 3, when he calls him the negotiator, in the movie, he is, it isn't with Grievous, but it is with one of the separatist leaders. He uses the Force, and he makes a table, and he goes, let's negotiate. Yeah. And that's the first thing that you kind of get dropped into. So you do get to see, they're still making those connections to the movies from the show, and still having everything line up in the same universe.
I always like the meme that I've seen on, I think it was from Tumblr maybe, of basically what it ends up being like 6 seasons, right? Of Clone Wars.
8.
8 seasons.
9? I think 9 was the final one.
Okay. A lot of seasons of avoiding Anakin and Grievous meeting. Because Grievous never meets Anakin until
the third
3.
episode.
Yeah. And so they have to just not let them cross paths, even though Anakin's one of the main characters of the Clone Wars show, and Grievous is one of the main antagonists. Yeah.
Because he leads the Separatists.
Yeah.
I really wish that they made a spin-off about Grievous. I know the story behind Grievous. I read into that lore, and it's really, really interesting.
Yeah. I like slowly replacing himself.
Well, no. So he used to be a warrior on a planet, and Dooku chops him up.
Yeah.
And then he's like, I'll let you live, but you're going to be my apprentice.
Yeah.
And he goes, okay.
All right.
And then, that kind of is what it is. But then you start to see more of like you were saying, like replacing more and more of himself and everything, like the advanced, technologically advancing himself. But no, I thoroughly enjoy Clone Wars, and it's definitely probably up on close to the top of my list.
Yeah. My last one here stands out to me. Also stands out in my list. My list has been a pretty nice, we got what? Juno, Forrest Gump, Monsters, Inc., WALL-E, Mad Max Fury Road.
Ooh. That's a good one.
That's fucking playing.
It's a good movie now that I'm older, but I think we've talked about it on here. It scared me growing up.
So this one stands out to me, not necessarily as like a comfort movie in the sense of like we've been talking of like, I'm sick and I just want to buckle down and watch this. But like, it's not a movie for when I'm sick. It's a movie for when I'm like on a plane ride. I was telling you. I don't remember what airline it was, but I own a digital copy of it and have it saved in my accounts so that I can like download it to my phone. Yeah. But it's the perfect length for I have family in Texas, and the flight to Texas is about the right time that I can just watch Mad Max Fury Road there, and I can watch Mad Max Fury Road coming back.
And you're set.
And I'm set. It's about a 2.5 hour ride. So like I said, I own the DVD, I own a Blu-ray, I own a digital copy of this movie. It's one of the best paced action films ever.
I have a tramp stamp of Mad Max.
God, it just says like "Witness me" across my ass cheeks,
right above the crack.
Right above the crack. No, but I'm not fucking around. It's no contest. One of the best action movies ever. This movie has incredibly creative action set pieces and builds like a unique and believable post-apocalypse culture where. Like, it's so over the top insane that, like, you just can't help but smile and laugh at, like, my God.
The blind guy just shredding on a guitar
that's got a flamethrower built into it. And that flamethrower is real. Like, that's an actual... Yeah. Like, something like 90% of the effects in this movie are practical.
And all the speakers behind him have the big, flares shooting out.
Yeah. And they're just... It's so intense. And they're just the oddest mix of, like, heavy metal, gearheads who, like, work on their cars all the time, and Viking culture, of just like, my God, these people are insane. Yeah. And that just the best thing that could happen to them is to die in combat, And so you've got them like spraying their face down with chrome paint, huffing chrome paint, getting high, and then doing something death-defying to move on into Valhalla,
What was that guy? He got shot right in the face and the chest
with the dart
or
gun.
The neck.
Yeah. And he huffs the chrome paint and takes 2 bomb lances and just
jumps right on the car. Yeah. It's like a little Volkswagen.
Yeah, and everybody's, witness! Oh, man. Just seeing juiced up ramshackle hot rods throw fireballs and explosive lances at each other in the middle of a desert has no business.
I will say,
getting me as jacked up as it does.
You talked about it with, like, the logistics behind a lot of the mechanisms that they use, like with having the shield on front of the truck and it drops the barricade and the sand smothers the flames. Yeah.
So people who haven't seen it, there's like war rigs, which are basically like semi-trucks that are meant to carry cargo, people, whatever, right?
In this case, what was it, water?
Yeah, it was designed to carry water, but in this case, it's carrying the wives, And Furiosa is played by Charlize Theron, and she's like his best. They're called Imperators, and they're his war rig drivers, and they're escaping from the bad guy, and they're getting attacked by these like dirt bikers who have a bunch of fire bombs. And
it makes me think of like Tusken Raiders.
Yeah, kind of. And they're just lighting the front of that truck up with these Molotovs,
trying to kill that engine.
And she just drops a lever, and like you said, it's got a what do you call it, like a cow? What's that called? A cattle?
cattle wedge,
like on the front, like on the front of trains.
Oh,
because it's a repurposed plow.
Yeah,
that's like shaped to a V as opposed to push the stuff. And she just drops that, and it starts kicking all the sand up, and it smothers the flames. And
she picks it back up, and she's good to keep going.
And it's like
that makes a lot of sense. Clever. Yeah,
and you're like, fuck, dude.
And then I know with like, what was it like? They had one of the big trucks hauling. What was it, like a bob, or not a bobcat, but a crane, like a small crane.
Yeah.
And they were able to use the explosives and kind of knock it out and try to fuck with them. It's just like, it is creative in the sense of how do we
make this
drivable but still super impactful with damage?
Yeah, and like from a filmmaking standpoint, it's incredible to watch them go, how can we make, I mean, the movie's essentially a 2-hour car chase. Mm-hmm. And how do you keep that interesting and unique? Where like each action scene feels different, and like, oh man, okay, that's the scene when this happens, and that's the scene when that happens, right? And like that final scene when they drive back to the Citadel and they're driving back through the crowd, and it's like just high octane. I mean, they've got people boarding their truck and shit, and they're all fighting on top of the truck and behind and on different vehicles, and it is just and you got explosions happening.
What's the I can't remember what the warlord's lead name is.
Joe, Immortan Joe.
Dude, he was creepy looking, bro.
Yeah, with the mask.
Yeah, he's got that mask on, whatever that vest is that like holds water.
Yeah, like keeps his.
But it's like keeping him compressed,
and it also makes him look muscular because he's like a frail old man, and it's got muscles carved into it, and it's clear, so that when he puts it on, it just looks like
he just looks built.
Yeah.
But yeah, that guy scared the piss out of me.
And then you got the fucking the people leader from Bullet Town.
Yeah.
Or no, he's from Gastown. The Bullet Farm is the dude who gets his eyes shot out.
Oh.
And is driving a tank-treaded vehicle with the wrap around his eyes, dual-wielding machine guns. It's insanity.
Yeah, that movie is constantly
it doesn't stop. And you gotta watch it though. We're going a little long.
Yeah,
What about an hour and a half, Chris? You got a.
Well, before that, I was going to say, if you had any comfort movies that you enjoyed, let us know. Send us an email at simplywhelmedmailbag@gmail.com.
Yeah, tweet at us.
But
what you been thinking about, Chris?
Welcome back to Chris's Cryptid Corner. I'm your host, Chris. So this week, we're going to be talking about avians, which is going to be correct. Avians,
bird people.
Mm-hmm. So they're going to be a little bit of a mixture of like you're saying, a humanoid bird, but still extraterrestrial.
Yeah.
And they fall back all the way to ancient Egyptian times what this connects to.
Yeah.
So the sighting that I have pulled up here is in 1962. On a stretch of a French road, a businessman claimed to have encountered a gang of aggressive bird-like beings, which not only blocked his car but allegedly attacked him. The report came from a man who was, at the time, described as a young researcher from the southern part of France named Lionel Trigano. According to Trigano, who will be referred only in this, I'll call him Trigano, but they call him Mr. S in this sense, for trying to keep it confidentiality, but they put his name out there, so it doesn't really make sense. He ran an important garage in France.
Okay.
So, witnesses on the account talked about how an all things look alike of the terror. It began on a dark and stormy night, and they heard the howls along the side of the road. One evening in November of 1962, and this is Trigano quoting, I was driving quoting Trigano, one evening in November 1962, I was driving along a minor departmental road in Var. It was a dark night, raining in torrents, so that I was driving with my lights full on.
Yeah.
The trip had been far uneventful, but it would soon take a literal turn into the twilight zone, according to the Observer. It was then that Mr. S noticed that there was something decidedly unnatural about the mob of jaywalkers in his passage.
Okay.
And so he says, quoting here, rounding the bend, I saw 80 meters away, a group of figures clustered in the middle of the road. I slowed down to avoid the group, but at the same moment I did, they split into two parts suddenly and very jerkily.
Yeah.
My window was down and I leaned my head out slightly to see what was the matter. It was then I saw the beast, some kind of bizarre animal with the head of a bird, covered with some sort of plumage, which were hurling themselves to both sides of my car.
So it was a group of avians?
Mm-hmm. And he said on both sides, and he kind of lifted his head outside saying, like, hey, is everyone okay? What's going on?
Realizes that there's...
And then they're like, what the that's not human. Yeah. And then at that time, they start hurling themselves at his
car,
Terrifying.
Yeah.
The petrifying confrontation with the unknown violent creatures would be more than enough to disturb anybody. Yeah. But just when things seemed to have reached to a maximum level of high strangeness, they took a turn for downright bizarre. Terrified, I rolled up my window, accelerated like a madman, and then stopped about 500 feet further on. I turned around, saw these things, these beasts, these nightmarish sort of beings, were heading towards me with sort of flapping, but they didn't have any wings. But it seemed that they were floating towards a dark blue object which hung in the air over a field on the other side of the road. Mr. S. Trigani then describes the extraterrestrial vehicle as 2 plates upside down placed on each other with about an inch of space.
Okay.
So, kind of having that hovering look.
Yeah.
It says, and quote, still quoting him,
like a yo-yo with that space in the middle.
Yeah. As if a flock of birds attacking a man and a hovering UFO would not strain the sanity of even the hardest individual, Mr. S. Trigani puts it. Let's see, and then I gotta skip down here real quick. It seems strange that these bipedal birds.
Yeah, I mean they walk on 2 feet.
Yeah, duh. It seems strange that these bipedal bird creatures were sucked into this flying saucer rather than climbing back inside as they were flying.
Yeah.
It happens in most of current reports. As bizarre as it may sound, one almost can't help but wonder whether these beasts were actually piloting the UFO or if they were representing some kind of alien pets or even a food source.
Right.
Because it just didn't make sense how
they weren't
abrasive.
Cooperating with it. They were just being retrieved.
Kind of equivalent to an intergalactic free-range chickens. After all, extraterrestrials gotta eat too.
Right.
And then it just goes on to say, there's not a whole lot of populations really. That was the only sighting that there was.
Yeah.
But it is kind of weird because I've never heard of anything like this before. And it links a lot of it to, here, I have it all pulled up here.
You said Egyptian lore, and I cannot think of what that god is called.
It keeps saying the praying mantis man, but that's definitely not it. But I have a picture of him, and we can throw it in the thumbnail for it, but it's that one.
Yeah.
But I can't remember. Let me see here. Yeah, Jamie, pull that up.
Egyptian bird god.
Is it this?
Egyptian bird god.
Sumerian bird visitor.
Anzu.
But so a lot of it's
also known as Indugud in Sumerian, is a lesser divinity or monster in several Mesopotamian religions. He was conceived by the pure waters of the Apsu and the wide earth, or as son of Cyrus.
Mm-hmm.
Anzu was depicted as a massive bird who can breathe fire and water, although Anzu is alternatively depicted as a lion-headed eagle.
So he's got a lion head.
Yeah.
But
in some depictions.
Sure. But I mean, just imagine... I mean, this is France, right? Yeah. And so, this guy's just driving home, and you just...
I mean, come on, it's France. They're not used to this shit.
Yeah, they don't deal with stuff like that. I mean, they got baguettes for crying out loud. But,
they're eating their cheese, drinking their wine.
I think he's dumb as hell. He stopped and turned around and be like, what's going on?
What the fuck is that?
I would not stop driving. I would just simply keep going.
If this was America, there was one shot.
Oh, yeah. If it was America, it wouldn't be some nice little, it was probably like a Fiat or some European car, BMW.
Some two-door coupe.
I bet you in that time. Hopping in the Great Town of Montana, I bet you that'd be a Ford Ranger back there, and I got 4 rounds of buckshot coming out.
Ford F-1500. He's running these birds down.
This is what it feels to drive a Ford F-150.
There's just birds crashing into the side of it.
But no, I thought it was pretty interesting. I thought it was
How it chews to 5 field goal.
how it feels to chew rhyme gum.
That meme fucking kills me. How it 5 to feel child gum. You know,
What?
how it gum to feel 5 chew. You know what?
But I thought that was really interesting and a little something different. I mean, you haven't heard anything. I haven't, or at least I haven't
never heard of that.
heard about them before. So pretty interesting to read into them.
Yeah.
But it does make me want to look more into maybe Egyptian.
Yeah.
You know, like gods or cryptids, anything like that could relate to that. Because
Yeah.
I don't know, maybe if there are aliens, maybe.
Or that email we got. What was it? The werewolf of.
Oh yeah, the werewolf of London, Ohio.
Yeah.
Yeah, we'll have to. I have to look into that one still.
Yeah. See what you can find.
My goodness. But what do you even think about, Colin?
So I've only got a few here. I'll kind of make it quick because we are running along. I've been playing off and on PC Building Simulator on my computer. Like in my I don't get to play a lot of computer games anymore. I just do like some downtime. I'll be in there and it's a nice game to like, okay, and you'll hop in.
Sure.
And you're running like a out of your apartment like PC repair shop, you know, where people email you, hey, I heard you're really good at fixing computers, right?
Try to fix this.
And you just order parts and all that, and you just build a PC. And I could see it being a game where like, I'm sure there's like a sandbox mode where you just get to build PCs.
Yeah.
But I mean, it's detailed enough that I could see you learning how to build a PC.
Oh,
like,
wow.
oh, okay, that's where that piece goes. That's
Sure.
where that piece goes.
Sure.
Here's what these different parts do, right? Because it is really detailed as far as like it's got different brands in there. You know, and all the pieces you've got to put thermal paste on your, you know, on your. You've got to put thermal paste on your processor before you put the, you know, slap it down and all that. And, I mean, you've got to take all the steps, otherwise it potentially won't work. You got to like run the cables and stuff. I mean, it's oddly chill. Like I'll just put on like lo-fi or a podcast
and just start working.
You know, put on like a 30-minute podcast on and play that for however long the podcast goes. And I'm like, all right, well, now I got to go do whatever it was I had to do.
Sure.
Right? But on my Switch, I've been playing Turmoil.
Oh.
You ever heard of this game?
Uh-uh.
It takes place in like maybe late 1800s, mid 1900s. I don't know, like early 1900s. But you are bidding against other people in this area for like plots of land to drill for oil.
Oh.
And you have to like, it's like a arcadey style game.
Sure.
But you're placing down your oil well and then drawing your pipe, and you don't know where the
oil
is underground, and you're drilling for it. And then when you find a well of it, you gotta just, oh shit, and you can like upgrade your pipes and stuff. But you've got to have carriages to move the oil from the well to like the
factory, whatever it is,
the bin, the basin, or whatever to store it. And so you've got to have enough carriages, but like carriages cost money, and you're trying to find that like equilibrium of like how much money I'm spending to harvest this oil versus the money I'm going to make from this oil.
Right.
And down to like, sometimes you bid on a bad plot of land and there's just not much oil here.
Not all I can do. It happens.
Because it's you and like 4 other like computer characters,
Sure.
you know? And yeah, and sometimes they outbid you, or they get the plot of land that you were really wanting, and you're like,
fuck. You motherfucker.
You know, or sometimes you win outright on a piece that nobody else bet on or bid for, and it's just flush with oil, and you're like, oh my god, and you're just trying to be an oil baron in the West. You know, it's called turmoil.
Turmoil.
And it's a really fun game. And the last thing is, you've got me playing chess.
Yeah,
I'm not good at it at all. Like I'm trying to learn. I'm using that chess.com app, and it's got like versus computer modes, and I've got it on like super assisted mode, just that like it'll show me
it teach you good moves,
and I'm like, oh, okay, and then I try and stop and look and go, okay, now why was I doing that? Why was that the move I needed to do? And I'll tell you what, with all that help, I'm doing pretty well.
I like chess a lot.
With the computer telling me exactly what to do, I kick ass.
No, I like chess a lot.
Yeah.
But
yeah,
that's all I got.
Yeah, that's all I got. So again, we want to thank you guys so much for your attention and support. If you guys enjoyed this episode, be sure to give it a great review. Tell your friends about us. Share us on social media. What do you call it? You know, you like, subscribe, you favorite, whatever the verbiage is on your streaming platform of, worship us. Testify? No. What's the, I'm trying to think of the word. When you got
a dream
so much that you could die. We have started a Facebook group, so
yes.
Check that out. There's a subreddit. You should check that out. We got all sorts of cool stuff going on.
Absolutely. 24/7.
Yeah, all the time.
All the time.
Nah. No, not really. But you guys should check it out and, talk to each other.
Yeah. Yeah.
Engage with each other. Get ideas flowing. Engage with us. Chris, if people wanted to get in touch with us, give us some feedback, ask us questions, tell us what their favorite comfort movie was. How would they reach out to us?
Absolutely. You can always take a look at our Instagram, Facebook, as well as like you were saying, our subreddit, which is going to be Simply Whelmed Podcast.
Yeah.
And then you can always take a look at our Twitter handle, which is whelmed_simply. Yeah. And then last but certainly not least, you can always send us an email at simplywhelmedmailbag@gmail.com.
That's right. simplywhelmedmailbag@gmail.com.
@gmail.com.
Next week, we are going to go see Ant-Man and the Wasp: Quantumania, baby.
Yeah, we are.
And I'm excited. Going to get us some Kang. Some Kang.
Whole lot of Kang.
Get some Kang up, yep. I believe we have a free week after that.
Yo.
So hopefully we can see one of our movies that we missed.
Yeah.
We have Sons of the Force coming out soon.
Yes.
So I'm sure we'll have a lot to talk about for that. But I don't think that would be in time for the next episode.
Probably be the one after that.
Yeah. So look forward to that shit in the coming weeks. Also, we're coming up on our 52nd episode, which is 1 year. Our 1 year is the very beginning of March. So we'll have to do something special for that. Get us a cake or something.
Crack pipe.
Pop smoke.
Pop smoke.
Gun smoke.
Gun smoke.
That's the other show, Chris. Tell everybody bye.
Bye.